Hello, 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 hello. This is the Skoda Enyaq behind me. This is the Bharat Mobility Show. No Auto Expo this year, so this is what's going to be a gap year show for the auto industry. It's a smaller show, much smaller show, which is why we are at the VW Group booths, not just a VW or a Skoda booth in general. Okay, let's talk about the Enyaq because this is important. It's Skoda's first EV for India, and as you can see, it is very Skoda-like in terms of design, right? I'm going to tell you specs a little later because this is not an India spec car. In fact, they've been very hush-hush about what the India spec is going to be. So we'll talk about that a little later in the video. But let's talk about how it looks because, as I said, super Skoda-like. Apart from that grille, which I need to show you in a little bit more detail, as Rohan would say in this tone. Come here. Isn't this one of the coolest grills you've seen on a car? Remember those Bentley headlights which have all the crystal bits in it? This, I think, Skoda has taken some inspiration from Bentley, and they've said, oh, we can't put crystals in the headlights, that'll look too Bentley, right? So let's put some crystal-like plastics in the grille. It's lit, both ways, lit, because it got light in it, and it's lit because I think it looks really cool. Okay, let's go to the side. Okay, this has 19-inch wheels on it, but again, we don't really know what the spec will be for India. 4649mm, that makes it longer than the Volkswagen Virtus that's behind me here. But again, let's not talk about the Virtus, let's talk about the Enyaq, because that's what we're here to talk about. And somebody said it looks like a BMW X1 in terms of silhouette. It is rather large though, look at this. I'm a big person and still rather large. In fact, it's almost as long as a Mahindra XUV 700. Food for thought. So let me back in and talk about the backside of the Enyaq. Now it looks very similar to the Skoda Kodiaq. It looks very familiar. A lot of Ilya words being used by me. That's because, well, it is familiar, it is similar. It is Skoda's design language personified. Now, this, as it says, 85 is the variant nomenclature for the UK market. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we don't really know what the variant is going to be for India. We don't know if it's going to be all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. We'll talk about that in just a little bit more. Wait up, don't go anywhere, okay? Don't skip this video just yet. The one thing I do want to talk about is all these gloss black bits. The badging is gloss black, the little badges here, the Enyaq and Skoda, and the little bottom of the bumper is gloss black. And that's important for somebody like me because if I'm buying an EV at whatever price point this will be, I don't want it to look like a normal SUV with dull black bits on the bottom. I want it to look urban. This looks urban. Okay. Now for the boring bits for some of you, now for the very interesting bits for some of you, depending on how you look at it, let's talk about the specs. Yep. For that, I'm going to get my phone out because there are too many specs to remember. So many variants. Time to talk about specs, and all the specs are going to be right here somewhere because my graphics team wants to stay busy for the weekend. So, well, gonna have it all here, okay? Let's talk about this. Two variant options that you can have, 62 kilowatt-hour battery pack and 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack. In my opinion, I think the 62 should be the start of the innings for Skoda in India. 62. So you get 179 horsepower, 310 Newton meters of torque, and you get a range of about 397 to 401 Newton meters. Now, if you talk about the bigger battery pack, which is the one that we would like as enthusiasts, you get three options. You get a rear-wheel drive version with the 82 kilowatt-hour, which has 550 kilometers of range or 560 kilometers of range, depending on what variant you buy, and that has 286 horsepower, and has 545 Newton meters of torque. Again, all of this will be here, so it's easy for you guys to understand and go through. And I'm going to put all of this in the sort of description as well, in case you want to have a real deep dive. But the all-wheel drive version, well, that gets 528 kilometers of range. So a little bit less range, obviously, because of more weight. But again, the same horsepower, 286 horsepower, and 545 Newton meters of rear power, and 134 Newton meters from the front motor. But then you get to the more interesting bits. Get to the bits that you and I really would like to have, like the VRS. Now, I really don't think that's coming to India anytime soon. 340 horsepower, 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds. That's faster and more powerful than my Stage 2 tuned Octavia VRS as well. But would you have an electric VRS? In fact, would you have this at all? Should Skoda bring this to India? And at what price?
So what you didn't win is on the end of the world. Let us carry the bout on my shoulder. Cause I carry the weight on my back. Every day it feels like I'm getting closer. So what you didn't win is on the end of the world.